Hello and welcome everyone to the Friday, July 8th edition of the Contributor Comms or Upstream Marketing Team. We're going to change that name. Totally need to figure that out. A reminder, is the sound very light? Am I having issues? Okay, cool. Thanks. Anyway, as a reminder, we are part of ContribEx, which is part of Kubernetes, which is part of Cloud Native Computing Foundation, which is part of the Linux Foundation, which means that we have a code of conduct, which basically says to be excellent to your fellow speakers and attendees, and we'll get going. Okay, awesome. So, one thing that we usually try to do at the beginning of these meetings, if anyone is new and would like to introduce themselves and let us know who they are and why they're here, you are welcome to do so now, totally optional.
Okay, maybe I can introduce. Hi.
Hello.
So my name is Imran. So I'm a newbie. So I just, I just joined a Slack group and I'm interested in the project and willing to contribute. I'm a product manager as well. So I think I could be somewhere, I could be useful. We have been using the Kubernetes for quite a long while and just started to, involve into the community. I already opened a PR yesterday, today morning, slight talku stuff, but yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. How did you find out about our group?
I just looked up in the Slack and I was still looking at the marketing activities, and of course I was being because of marketing I was pulled up. I thought it's quite interesting to me and wanted to get involved.
Awesome. Well, I hope that you'll continue to think so as you get to know our group.
Yeah, sure. Looking forward to it.
Yay. And we'll go over a bit more about what our group does here in a minute, but
I'll go next.
Yeah.
I'm Pavan. I'm a DevOps engineer. I create content mostly around Kubernetes on Twitter. That's where I'm mostly around, and I contribute to a couple of communities, mostly Kubernetes communities. And I've just hopped in. One of my friends, Avinesh, got me here, and I'm looking forward to know more and contribute wherever possible. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Welcome. It's always wonderful to see new folks on the call. To give you all a little bit of background on our group, as I said, we are the Contributor Comms group, which is part of the Special Interest Group for Contributor Experience. And we have also been known as the Upstream Marketing Group, and we're working on changing that to just be Contributor Comms everywhere, because we do a variety of activities, which marketing kind of applies to, and kind of sometimes we feel like it doesn't. So one thing that we do is we run the Kate's Contributors Twitter account. And the idea of that account is that it is news for the contributor community. The intended audience is contributors. And that's the case with most of our messaging. When there's something going on in the community that needs to be communicated to our contributor community, those are the types of things that we try to help out with. So we help to run that account. Currently, we have a Twitter or a GitHub repo where anyone from the Kubernetes community can propose a tweet for that account, and we can send it. Not that it's used by folks outside of our group very often, but we do have it. We're working on getting a new tool, which we'll discuss more later, I'm sure, to help with a few issues with that. We also have a Slack bot so that we can ping people in a variety of Slack channels within the community if there's something going on that we need to ping them about. Granted, we're also going to talk about that today. And generally, when there are things going on in the community, we try to find ways to help communicate. Oh, and blog posts is another big thing that we help out with. There is a blog sub-project of SIG Docs, I think is how that works. Also, so that group normally reviews blogs for Kubernetes.io. We also have a developers, like a contributor site, kates.dev. So blogs for that we tend to be more involved with, and we do help to like review and shepherd through the process blogs for both sites. Yeah, awesome. Confirmed that it is part of SIG Docs. I did remember that right. Awesome. So with that out of the way, I see that we've got one new item that we can discuss. Is Deba even here actually? Deba's not
No,
here.
he asked in the chat, well, not necessarily asked, but just said new item for review.
What did he say? Sorry.
It won't be in the meeting, but just pasted this link as a new item for review.
Okay. Lovely. So the link is in the notes, and I'll also post it in our chat for good measure. I'll open that up and take a look at whatever that is. That is, I don't want to search for the participant named GitHub dot whatever. All right, that's posted in the chat. Blog experience of Linux Foundation mentorship. This one's been around for a while, or no? This one's new. Okay. So Deb was involved in all sorts of areas of the project. Mentorship is one area he's deeply involved with. So we've got a new blog post by Meha, who I've definitely met at some point along the way, about her experience as a Linux Foundation mentee. Lovely. So I guess what he's looking for here, yeah, is just reviews. We have several items for review, by the way, which I'm sure that we'll go over in our table. I know I have it on my to-do list to review the 2 SIG spotlights that we currently have open for review. Very sorry it's taken so long. So it goes with blog posts sometimes. This is why they're slow. Reminder to everyone, though, if you can spare some time to look over a blog post and give your feedback, we have at least 3 now that could use your help. The other 2 are the SIG Docs Spotlight by Pernissoir. Want to make sure that I get that right. And then Federico has one that is on SIG Architecture. Can't remember.
Yes, so it was on SIG Architecture, and I've pinged the shares again, but I don't think there's an actual at the current time. I don't have any feedback. So I've also expanded the net, I threw the net a bit wider, and I also contacted SIG Security for a spotlight, and I'm waiting for some feedback there as well.
Okay.
So, and if that doesn't work, I will add another one, and eventually one of them will come into the short term, and then I can go cycle back on the others and work that way. So you can add SIG Security to the lists. With SIG Architecture currently still waiting for a feedback.
But SIG Security, are you waiting for feedback from the chairs or from us?
From the shares,
Okay,
both of them from the shares. The only one that I've actually done in terms of reaching the point where editing is required is the SIG storage one.
Lovely. These are moving along at a good clip. I'll tell you, the last time that we had one of these done, it took like months to get answers from the chairs. So even with us being slow to review them, you all are on a great track.
Okay, that's good to hear.
So SIG Security Spotlight blog post is in the works, waiting for chair feedback.
The SIG Docs Spotlight is also done, like the first draft is out. I gave it for review, and Tim did the first review and left some comments there. I did some changes, and I'm waiting for some more reviewers to look into it. And if there's some changes, they can suggest that.
You had Tim look at it already, but it's in HackMD, right? Not in a PR yet.
Not in API.
Right. Awesome. So for a little bit of background for folks who might not have heard it before, the process for blog posts is that they will go through a PR process to be added to the websites, whether it's kubernetes.io or k8s.dev. But we tend to recommend that folks write it out in like a HackMD or a Google Doc first so that we can do a round of lighter reviews in a tool that it's a lot easier to perform reviews in before we put it into GitHub. So that's the stage that we're at right now, is reviewing things in like a HackMD or a Google Doc before we create a pull request to actually put those into the website, which hopefully should be lightweight, and we try to avoid having many changes in those. Just because the GitHub process is annoying. Cool. Any other new items or updates and big wins that folks want to share?
I was recently looking into SIGDoc's blog channel, and I saw that they were having some discussion on how a blog should be reviewed and all those things, because reviewing on GitHub is quite difficult. So they're thinking of a process. Basically, they're having discussion, and I think we should look into that conversation as well, so that we can also implement to a similar approach that they are taking.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Avinesh, for noticing that, for catching that. I know we had Tim, or was it Josh or someone on here a few weeks ago, was saying that Docs or Blogs was considering setting up a new process that'll be a bit, hopefully, simpler or lighter weight, or whatever words you want to use to describe it. So good to hear that they're making progress on that, having discussions on that, and totally agreed. We definitely should keep an eye on that. Is the Blogs sub-project channel a place where you tend to hang out? Do you want to keep an eye on that for us, Avinesh?
Yep, I can.
Nice. The rest of us should too, if we can find the time to check out that that sub-project channel, but would very much appreciate it if you don't mind keeping an eye on it. To keep an eye on that. And thank you, Hina, for adding that item to the new item to the table while we're discussing it. We should add this one about keeping track of the SIG docs blog sub-project. I don't know why I need to say that whole thing every time. But keeping track of what the blog sub-project is doing in terms of setting up that new process. Thank you, Hina. Cool. Anything else on that, or any other new items, updates, big wins? Alrighty. Feel free to interrupt at any time. It's a very free form kind of a meeting. Okay, and then campaigns in progress, open AIs. We'll go through our table. By the way, I don't know if I said, I was going to say, probably did, I don't know. But the notes are below the table. And the table is what we use to keep track of our ongoing action items. And it's really long at this point, which is both exciting and intimidating. Alrighty. Assign to the other one. Lovely. Okay. So going up to the top of the table, the first thing is Hina. Any updates?
This is me.
Yes.
I might be coughing through.
Oh no.
That's okay. I have tea. But essentially, I was trying to do this when I started to feel better, but I can figure out how to set up a notification, but I couldn't figure out how to set a notification or an alert for a team. So here's my ask. If anyone has any tips, or if anyone has any time to help me in the next, I don't know, whenever.
Week. Okay. I doubt that anyone in our group has set up notifications on a GitHub issue before.
So
I think, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
The discussion, I remember.
Oh no, you got muted, Avinesh. Oh no.
This is like
there
my
you are.
Google searches.
Oh, sorry. There's some notification going on here. We had a discussion with Bob, right, in one of the meetings where he told that we had to add @contributor comms in the template of what we are creating. So doesn't that gives an notification automatically? I'm not sure.
So
Yeah.
when I looked it up, I can add the assignee. I don't know if I can add the team as an assignee, but notifications are repo based, and so I
That's a
couldn't
good
figure out the
question.
notifications.
Mm.
But if I don't know if I can pursue seeing if I can make the team an assignee, but I don't know if I can.
I see. Mm-hmm.
But it was very confusing, and so notifications for sure I couldn't do because it's gonna notify me on my cloned repo.
Okay. Interesting. Certainly not something I've done before. Bob would definitely know, so we can ask in we could ask in the general ContribEx channel saying, hey, we want to update the marketing request issue template to alert us, and we're not quite sure what to do there. I'm sure that someone will respond to us with some help. I think that's probably our best route.
Okay, so I'll take it to Slack. Perfect.
Feel better.
Thank you. I'm feeling better. I'm just coughing. I was dead
Yeah.
last week, so I'm just glad to be here.
So it goes sometimes. Okay, so adding a note in there that we're going to try asking in the SIG ContribEx channel. Yeah, just let them know what we're trying to do, and they should be able to point us in the right direction. Thank you, Hina.
Thank you.
And next item, I don't know what we want to do with this one at this point. It's been so long. And I know that Chris, actually, that's right. I was going to discuss this with you all this time. So background, we had this idea to create some contributor tip tweets when we find cool tips for working in our processes like GitHub and stuff like that. And the first thing that we came up with was how to squash your commits using our Tide bot thing that we have in GitHub. So Federico wrote up a lovely tweet on that, which then caused issues because I assume this is documented in our rules. I need to actually go check that. But one of our rules that we at least have decided on for our Kate's contributors Twitter account is that any links that we tweet from that should basically be from Kubernetes sources. So the Kubernetes blog or the contributor site blog or things like that. But Chris had written an article about this command for his own blog. And so we decided there was a conflict and an issue with that. So we removed that tweet and we were going to see what we could do with that content. Chris was, well, in the discussion, it was decided that we should move Chris's content over to the contributor site. But now Chris has been really busy. He's got a lot of stuff going on in his personal life. He stepped away from our sub-project group. And so he created a PR to move that content into the contributor site, got some feedback on it. And he hasn't been able to execute on that feedback. So I talked with him about this last week, and he said that we could close that PR and open another one where we shepherd it through the process and make any changes that we want to change to the content. He said that he's perfectly fine with that if we want to do that and just mentioned in the post, like the original source is based on his, and so we can do it that way if we want to. What do you think about that, Federico?
Yeah, well, if it's fine for everyone else, it's fine for me. So from a practical perspective, I can certainly go around and open it and reference the original source, and then depending on the feedback, which well, I can start by addressing the existing feedback immediately, and then act on the additional one. And keep Scott in the loop, of course.
Sounds good. I think you can actually like add commits to the PR as not the person who originally created the PR. Am I wrong on that? I'm bad at Git.
Yeah, no, it depends on the permissions. I will have to check. If they are at the Kubernetes SIG level, maybe I can, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I will test that, and if it's not possible to change that one specifically, I will create a new one referencing that one and move forward with that. So that sounds like a plan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Federico. You're picking up so many items. Very impressive.
No, but it's well, it's more the number than the complexity. So it's fine by me. I'm happy to help.
That's true. We do have a wide variety of things that we've got going on right now, which is nice. So Chris said he's up for us to take ownership of pushing this through. All right, so that's going to be the current status. Sounds good. And I'll move on from that. Next thing are the two things that both have the same answer. Auto-generating blog tweets is something that we want to do, and scheduling tweets is something that our current GitHub stuff can't do. So we are awaiting approval to use a new tool called Buffer. We had to go through the process to get budget so that the CNCF will be paying for us to have this Buffer account. So we're just waiting on that to be finished up. I attended the ContribEx meeting late, so I missed the part where we discussed Buffer, but I saw in the notes that they said they're just waiting for the CNCF to assign someone to make it happen. Does that sound right to the folks that were there? Also.
Yeah, from what I also arrived slightly delayed, but I think that I got that part, and it seems I concur. That was my impression as well.
Okay, sounds good. And that's pretty much where I expected it to be. And there's a comment in the chat, if I may, from Rashid. A follow-up tweet to this I feel would be helpful is squashing commits if you have merge commits in your PR. I once did face problems with this in my PR and would love to write this one out if it sounds like a nice idea. Certainly sounds interesting to me, and certainly is not something that I know how to do. So if you want to write up some information about how you did that, if you want to do it as a blog post, if you think you can fit some into a tweet, however you think that would be good to communicate, Rashid, happy to help you. Does that sound good? Would you like to add that, Rashid, as an action item for us that's assigned to you to create some content about this workflow of squashing with, I assume you mean merge conflicts. Cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that at the end. Insert row below. Tweet/content on, and then copying your comment and assigning that to you, Rashid. Alrighty. You know where to find us in our Contrib Comms channel, whatever that one's called, SIG ContribEx Comms. If you need any help, feel free to post in there. People don't always pay attention. You might have to ask a couple times, but we are there. and it's definitely being used. I'm so excited about that. Go everyone. Awesome. So I've added that to the table. We'll come to it again at the end if we want to add anything else to it. Moving on past the buffer stuff, the next thing is the role description for the events role. Avinesh, we did not really talk about that this week, but one thing that I did do is create a new HackMD file that is a social media role handbook thing. So we have a role handbook, by the way, in our repo for our group that only has 2 roles defined in it currently. It used to have more, and then we changed it, and then now we're working on changing it back. So some time ago, when we had more roles in it, I created a PR to update the social media role, which has been with our group since the beginning, but had a lot of empty spaces because we weren't exactly sure what that role would turn out to be. I've kind of sort of been in that role for a while. So I went ahead and put together a handbook for the social media lead, as well as anyone who wants to contribute to our social media work. It has some information for them in there as well. So I added that to our Slack channel, and there's a link in here somewhere. There it is. So I would appreciate any review on that if folks want to take a look at it. Avinesh, I figured it would be helpful for you with the events role. I think you'll probably want to do something like that where you do the full handbook type deal. And I'll go ahead and add that into the notes, and the link, by the way, the link is also in the chat. Add that into the notes. And the one below that is kind of on the same thing. Honestly, I think I will combine these. I hadn't, because Avinesh had been the only one working on a role, but now that I'm also working on a role, I think I'll just combine these 2 items of our table. If that sounds good to folks. I'll do that after the meeting. No need to rush into it.
I don't know where the right place to ask this question, if it might be at the bottom, but I've been here for maybe a few meetings at this point, but as a project manager, I know that I'm not really adding project management value. And where would the right place to be? When is the right time to have the conversation of how can I provide value from a project management, mentee coordination? My English is gone, but the words I'm trying to say, I hope you understand.
Yeah, I get it. And in my opinion, you've totally been adding project management value. You came up with this table system for us. When you're in the meeting, you help us to update it, which I'm not always so good at. So I think you've been doing some great work on that already. But you're right that if we're going to create a whole role around that, there's definitely more that we need to figure out.
Yeah.
And for a lot of these roles,
sorry,
I was just going to say, for a lot of these roles, we've kind of figured out as we've gone along what we needed. And so sometimes it takes a while to develop a role, and I think that's fine. I'm thinking maybe we could sync offline and discuss some ideas and kind of go from there.
Yeah, that works for me. Cool. I always it's that whole servant to the team point of view. So yeah, we'll discuss it. But then also, if there are things that anyone on this call thinks, man, I wish I had some kind of coordination effort or project management in this aspect, like crowdsourcing those ideas. I can't promise I'll be good at them, but they'll at least be nuggets to start and sort of flesh out what that looks like in the future.
Yes. Everyone, feedback welcome on how you would like to see our group grow and change and implement process and all of that wonderful stuff. And Avinesh, I saw in the comments that you're going to work on a HackMD for next week. You need any help with that? Do reach out. I know I've been bad about reaching out and helping you with that. HackMD. Create HackMD draft. Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions or comments on roles or specific roles or how we're creating roles or anything like that? There's also, by the way, information in the role handbook that I created for the social media role. You'll see that there's a shadow section at the bottom. So part of setting up these roles is thinking about what it will be like to have people shadow and take on that role in the future. I know I've gotten questions from some folks before about how to take on more responsibility for our social media stuff. And that wasn't something that I had figured out previously. So thanks folks for asking about that, because I thought about that and added some information about that into the handbook. So also we'll be working on doing some shadowing for that.
So I had a question. So I was going through the HackMD that you created, and in the associate overview, I found that the shadow would be owner of, or that is the approver of contributor tweets as well, while we are creating a new role for contributor tweets. I believe Atharva is going to take that thing. So will that role come under social media role, or
Are
is
you
it a
talking about
separate role?
the Slack bot?
Not really. I'm talking
Oh.
about the contributor tweets.
Okay.
So Atharva is going to take he is going to be the approver, right?
Right. Yeah.
And inside the HackMD file, currently I see that there is one of the tasks of the shadow would be to become an owner of SIG Kubernetes SIG's contributor tweets repo.
Yes.
So will that role come under this social media role, or is it different?
I don't remember all the things that we were discussing with Atharva about this approver role concept. Was it just for the tweets repo? Because there are other approver things that we could consider, like for handling our marketing requests in the community repo. But if he was just talking about the contributor tweets, then yes, I think that will get rolled into this one, but I'll need to talk with Atharva about it. Does that sound reasonable?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I was thinking it was Atharva who had asked me about that, and totally was. It's even in the notes. So he's not here, but thank you, Atharva. Okay, I even put that in here for me to reach out to him about that. And then I didn't do that this week. So I'm going to put it on my to-do list. Atharva approver. That should tell me what I'm talking about. Okay. Thank you for mentioning that, because I saw that in the notes and I was like, what was this? Alrighty. Gonna move on from roles and shadows now. That sounds good. We're welcome to talk about that anytime, of course. I'll go ahead and move through our table. Next item, update GitHub repo to contributor comms name. Basically, all this is waiting for is for me to pick a date when we're going to coordinate all of these pull requests that have to happen to change our name. I really need to not wait too long, but I haven't felt that I had the time to properly watch it and shepherd this through. So I haven't done that yet. If anyone is interested in helping with that, the information about what needs to happen for this to occur is in a comment in that linked issue there, which I'll put into the chat as well, from 28 days ago from Chris. And it goes over the 4 things that need to happen. So if anyone wants to help out with that, Help welcome. I'm certainly not doing a good job on that. Like I said, Chris has kind of stepped away, so it's up to us to decide how we want this to go. Oh, someone commented 2 days ago too. Definitely need to get that done this week. So that'll be my plan, but if anyone else wants to help, feel free to let me know and I'll do what I can to get you involved with it. Next item, the SIG spotlights we've already discussed. So docs, storage. Who's working with storage?
I was. Storage
Okay.
is the one that's ready. It's the one that's in XMD. Yeah.
So where's the architecture one then? Because then you're also working on security. You got a lot.
No, so yeah, but the reason why I have 3 is because the 6 storage one was actually done, and it's been on XMD for a while now. We're waiting for reviews before opening the PR. By the way, if it comes the time where it's better just to open the PR, do tell me, because I can do it. This is just because I'm not sure if I should wait for like a formal, okay, it's fine, open the PR, or if it's more a consensus based kind of thing. So I don't want to sit on it if nobody has anything to add. But the other one, the architecture, I've contacted the shares. They told me to wait a bit after the freeze. I've contacted them again, but it doesn't seem to be an adequate time at the moment. So I've expanded the list to security.
Gotcha.
Just if one can't, the other might, and in between something will get done.
Yeah. The SIG architecture status is about what I expect from these.
Okay.
I know in my experience, it took a long time for me to get the chairs ready to actually answer the questions.
Right. So.
Awesome. Okay. And Partner Swire had added in the table even. Way to go.
Yes, I didn't really realize that you should have done that, but I did that. So
very nice. I mean, we kind of have it in 2 places now because we have the notes and we have the table. Personally, I find value in having it in either or both, because I have a horrible memory, and the more times we mention something, the more likely I am to remember it. So I appreciate you putting that in. Thank you. Tarva wanted to do one as well, but he hadn't picked a SIG yet, so I also need to check in with him on that. So you said you already had Tim Bannister review it, and Federico, did you say that Tim had reviewed any of yours, or has he not touched that yet?
Mine, are we still on the spotlight?
Yeah. Has Tim Bannister touched yours? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Not as far as I'm aware. No.
Good to know. Tim Bannister is one of the blogs, docs folks, and he's a really, really good reviewer. Granted, I don't understand how he has enough time in the day to do the reviews that he does, but if we can get him to review it, basically the way that this has worked in the past is our group will review something in HackMD and then we'll push it to PR, and that's when Tim and the docs folks will review it.
Yeah.
But the last time we talked with them, they said they wanted to review things in HackMD as well because it's easier for them. So that is a good idea, actually, to reach out to Tim Bannister if you haven't.
Yeah.
Like ping him directly and be like, hey.
No, not directly. If I'm not mistaken, he joined the channel.
He did, yeah.
Just the other day.
So you can add him.
Yeah, and
in
I
our
know.
Channel.
Yeah. I know that he reacted to my Oliver Twist image, so he does know that I'm asking for reviews in HackMD. So I can follow up on that.
Okay, sounds good. I'm hoping that I will also review it before it's too late. I have that on my list for today. But if we
My
can get
draft
him,
is
that'll
done
be
like
great.
really, really fast. Like I posted it on channel yesterday only and it did instantly.
Yeah.
So I guess
Sometimes when you just hit the right time. Glad that went well. Yeah, it's just sometimes it works. All right, sounds good. Like I said, I plan to review those today. That's on my to-do list as one of my top priorities, but we'll see how that goes. So we'll move on to the next item, annual report stuff. Thank you so much, Federico. I know you've been creating a bunch of tweets for that. I know that I think Avinesh
sorry, but
created the one. Oh, yes.
SIG security. Sorry,
Please.
but is SIG security open like spotlight thing?
Yeah, Federico said that he reached out to them already and is working on that.
Yep. So the ones that I'm covering, apart from SIG storage that is done externally at least, are SIG architecture and SIG security. Apart from that, you have all of the rest, apart from the ones that were already done, which I think are SIG docs and SIG windows.
Yeah, SIG Windows is from a long time ago.
Windows multi-cluster usability and Node has already been done.
Okay.
Lovely. Well, the one you're working on, Pernissoir, is the docs one, right? So also makes sense that Tim would be like, oh, I need to review that because it's also his area. That probably helps. Oh, something I wanted to mention on security, slight tangent. Granted, we're already getting close to the end of our meeting, but I had an idea a while ago that I never really finished up and followed up on, which I think is sad, and maybe at some point we can come back to, but related to SIG security. We've had a few instances where we've helped with communications to some degree. Generally, we're just like reviewers or something, but communications that have impacts on security for Kubernetes. And so handling those messages has to be done with significant care. And there's a lot of collaboration that has to go on with those messages. And there are some general rules that we could probably write out somewhere to help us when we have those security sensitive communications that we have to help out with. So I was hoping to work with the security folks to write out those general rules for security communications. And then I never did do that. So if that sounds interesting to folks, would welcome that work. Any questions there, or I'll move on? We can always come back to it. The next item is the kata coda thing, which we've basically just left in here as a conversation point around what's going on with kata coda, which usually Ray is up to date on, and he's not here today. So unless anyone has anything they want to discuss with regard to kata coda, I'll move on from that one. Okay. Oh, and then I had already moved on to the annual report and then moved back, whatever. Like I said, Federica has been creating a bunch of tweets, which I gave myself a schedule to send out and then have not stuck to. So I sent one of them out last night. I want to send another one out right after this meeting. I'm trying to kind of space them out because they're very nice tweets, and I think it's nice for us to have them over a good amount of time. And then Avinesh had a tweet this week too, I think. Federico?
No, yeah, I was just adding something on that.
Yes.
There seems to be some issue with the actual process of amending tweets, because sometimes, well, I open the issue, the PR is automatically created. And what this means is that any comment in the PR, I can't actually commit to the PR, right? I have to go to the original issue, change it, and from what I've been informed, do a validate, and it would automatically update the commit. but this is actually not working. At least I'm getting an error. So this might be important because going forwards, I don't think that myself or anyone else can actually act on suggestions that I made on the PR. We would have to delete the PR and the issue and create a new one.
Yeah, this is not the first time this has happened. We've had a couple of issues with this. I know someone responded to your comment about that.
Yeah.
Saying they were going to look into it.
Let me.
Not sure who that was.
And let me see who it was. So, yes. Too many threads.
Another reason why we're very excited for Buffer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it was Deba. Yeah.
Okay. Deba thing. So I'd say check in with him on that because I'm not sure how that went last time. Was not involved with fixing it.
Okay. Yeah. Apart from that, I will, as discussed last time, I will continue to go through the documents and just add the issues, and then you can of course decide on the ones that when and how they will be published.
Sounds good. All right. And I'm going to move on from, well, there is one more thing to mention in there, which is that Deba set up a doc for us to track other tweets that we need to do with regard to the annual report help wanted section. And I think not all of those have been finished. We mentioned last time that folks should go in and finish those up if they have time, but I don't know that anyone did. Same thing again.
Yeah, I'm doing that. So as I
were those the ones from this?
For example, I focus on the work groups ones because that was discussed last time as an area of help, and I will continue going to the document and updating each time I create a PR so that others know that there are still a lot of free items to go through.
Wonderful. We did discuss that last time. I know some of the ones you have open right now are from the ones that you created when you went through the
initial interaction
report, and then you're doing some of these as well. That makes sense.
Yeah.
For anyone else who would like to help out with those, I put the link to the tracking document for that in the chat. And like Federico said, watch for the ones that have already been tweeted. How are those indicated in the doc? Oh, they have a PR with them.
Yeah, exactly. They have the tweet texts and they have a link to the PR. I followed the structure that was there.
Beautiful. Right. So if you're interested in helping out with those, check out what's in there and see if there's anything that hasn't been PR'd in yet. Thank you, Avinesh, for volunteering to helping with that in the next week. Right, and I'm going to move on from that. We're getting close on time. Review requested on APAC Meet Our Contributors blog. I'm not exactly sure what the progress on that is. I know it was in our contributor comments.
Yeah, so they have decided to go on with the publication date, which is 11th.
Okay.
So yeah, I think the review must be done and it's ready to go on 11th.
Yep, looking good. There was an update to it 23 hours ago, so that's definitely moving. All right, so we'll move on from that one. The Nginx survey tweet is the other one that Avinesh did this week. Thank you very much, Avinesh, and that one's done. We might want to retweet it or something. I should probably put a note on my list for that, but I'll go ahead and delete that row because that is done. Retweet survey. Noted for myself. Issue with KDev site, Pritish. Any update on this? Pritish is not here. Okay. So there's a link though in the notes if you're interested in following what's going on with the KDev site issue. I'm going to go ahead and move on from that because we've got 5 minutes. Blog by Deba needs review. This is the one we talked about earlier. That was in the new items. Does anyone want to specifically volunteer to review that blog?
I'll do that.
That was Avinesh? Yes.
Yep.
Lovely. Got 2 other blogs to review today, and I'm going to bet that I'm not going to get to this one. Depth blog review. But I will write it down. Okay. Keep track of SIG Docs blog subproject. Thank you, Avinesh, for bringing that up. Tweet content on squashing commits if you have merge conflicts, I think is what that should be. Okay. Yep. Thank you, Rashid, for suggesting that. Keep us updated on your progress or any help that you need, what you're thinking you want that to look like. And then I added also in, Imran was interested in this, the security comms guidelines concept. If anyone wanted to work on that, what you would need to do is reach out to SIG Security. I should probably find whatever information I have from that. I don't think I have anything in particular. I think I just had some conversations with the chairs about it. But mention to the chairs that we would like to create security communications guidelines and work with them on setting that up in like a HackMD or something. That's about the best guidance I have for now.
I'm actually going to reach out to SIG Security related to some LWKD blogs. So I think I can do this as well.
Yeah, if you're doing blogs with them, because Federico, I know you're doing the spotlight with them, which is a little bit more removed from this concept. But if, who was that said that? But if someone else is working with them on last week in Kubernetes blog posts. Also, you're doing last week in Kubernetes stuff? Exciting. But if you're doing that and you'd like to reach out to them, that would be lovely.
Just one note that if someone has a strong preference for any of those that are I'm still waiting for a reply. I have, of course, no feeling of ownership over things, so it's fine by me.
We encourage collaboration and delegation and working together. So however folks want to get things done, we welcome.
Okay, to be precise here, I'm not doing a blog, like, the entire blog with SIG Security. So it's some separate part, which we keep in LWKD blogs. So yeah, I'm going to reach out anyway.
Okay, sounds good. If you get the chance and you remember to ask them, that'll be progress. We can check in on it again next week. And if we need to change anything about it, we can. We've only got 2 minutes left. So are there any other items, anything we've been over that people want to ask some questions about? Any other items that they want to talk about before we close out the recording? Go team. We're doing so much stuff. Y'all are killing it. Lots of work. Yeah. And I'm excited that we're starting to lay out these roles so that there'll be clear paths for everyone going forward on how you take more ownership here, how you get more recognition for your work by taking on roles and things like that, because you're all doing wonderful things. And I want to make sure that you're being recognized for it. I'm excited for that.
Well, and thank you. And see you all next week.
Sounds
good.
Have
a great weekend. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Or time of Friday, everyone.
Yeah, happy time of Friday.
Take care.